Edmonton for the Seeds Canada meeting, talking about a big topic that's ISSB, Inclusive Standard Setting Body, or Independent Seed Standards Body. It's had a few different names, which is something you commented on yesterday, but you took over this project, coming up with this report about the ISSB from Aaron Armstrong. Now that the report, the draft report's finished, you presented it, talked a bit about it here at the meeting. What was the biggest surprise, biggest challenge you had during that whole process? What was that one thing that for you was like, oh wow, this is going to be a big roadblock maybe to get over, or a hurdle, something like that?
I didn't think there were massive problems. And actually, if I was surprised by anything, it was the availability that people made time for me. And so I had lots of good conversations. And then I had to kind of think, okay, just like I said yesterday, well, what have I heard? And so that's when I started kind of pulling things together. And I was not surprised about whether you want to call it the politics or the divisiveness, or, you know, the challenges of the seed industry and what they're trying to accomplish, right? Because you've got Seeds Canada, you've got CSGA, and then you've got CFIA. So, you know, all important groups in the chain, and maybe all having a slightly different viewpoint of what they were trying to achieve. Although, as I said yesterday, I feel like the CSGA work and the Seeds Canada work are quite similar, and kind of going down the same path with just some minor, you know, impediments or differences of opinion.
There's so many, you know, green lights, things that they have in common, but then there's, you know, maybe a couple things that are orange or red lights, so to speak, that, okay, there's some differences here. What are those big differences, and how do you think we can kind of deal with those to move forward with something, whether it be an ISSB or a combination of the two or something like that? What would that be?
Within the seed industry world, which is quite a big collective body of you know, organizations, grain companies, breeders, seed analysts, you know, life science companies, you name it, versus the CSGA work, which is admittedly a smaller and more defined body, right? It's seed growers that sit on their board. It's only seed growers who have decision-making power on things. And so if you look at the ISSB concept, that's why they use the words, and I think to Barry's point, I think the word independent is the critical word, because it's not a Seed Canada concept per se. It's an industry concept that, if the ISSB gets formed, would be a collective of, you know, viewpoints, differing perspectives, differing experiences, etc. Versus the SG or the CSGA proposal, they have identified themselves as, we would be the administrator. So that's a lot of power and decision-making power sitting in one spot. Probably in their world, that's not really an impediment that they would see. They say, well, what's the big deal? But if you're in the industry and you want something inclusive and you want something broader, that's where I see the biggest challenge. You know, in my report said, let's figure out how we can get these two sides together and work through these impediments and see if there is a solution to moving forward. And you heard that a lot yesterday, that I think there was general consensus on, yeah, we need to move this forward, and we need to act. You heard that. We need to get going on this.
Is it officially done now with this report, or is there more to come for you, or what happens now for you in your role? You
know, I outlined some next steps, which were pretty basic. It was, okay, present my report, gather any feedback. So there was good discussion, particularly with the panel afterwards. And I had lots of one-on-one discussions with people. So I've got a lot going through my head. Maybe potentially make any edits to that initial interim draft report, maybe get it to a final stage. But one of the things that I recommended is, you know, maybe you could have a small task force of people that could pull this together fairly quickly, you know, identify people who might sit on it, you know, outreach to them, get it established to kind of move it down the road. But ultimately, you have to take that plan and implement it.
Yeah, well, everybody knows you. I mean, that's why, you know, you're involved in the industry for a long time. You're really well-known person with a lot of knowledge. And so it was great to have you do this. I know the Seeds Canada members appreciate it. So thank you for sitting down with me.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Mark.